Welcome to Massive Late Fee. And now your hosts, Mark and Carol. Hello everyone, welcome back to Massive Late Fee. It is May 7th, 1994. I am Mark. With me as always is my co-host Carol. How you doing, Carol?
Hey, what's up?
So we've had a good week here at Massive Late Fee. We have been viewing the movies, so you don't have to. No, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with our pick this week. We've got some news. I guess, should I explain what the show is? I don't, like I said last week, I hate opening the show. I never know what to do. I guess I should tell people what we do.
Sure.
We cover TV and movies.
And a little bit of news.
Yeah, we talk about some news. Sometimes we try to do more national news. We don't do it as often, but there's not that much entertainment news this week, guys.
That's okay. We found some pretty scandalous stuff.
Yeah, my subscription to the Los Angeles Times pays dividends once again. And I mean, there's stuff about David Letterman and Jay Leno taking their shows on the road. They were asking Letterman if he's going to move his show to Los Angeles like Johnny Carson did way back in the day. In the 60s, The Tonight Show started in New York and then moved to California. That's where Johnny Carson wanted to live, apparently, to Burbank there. And they asked Letterman about moving his show, and he said, that's not really a big priority for us. So I don't really ever see David Letterman leaving New York.
You know, I realize that this is an entertainment show, so this is important, I guess, but I couldn't care less where they film their shows or where they live. I
agree. Because it's not something that translates to the TV.
Right.
You're not, I mean, I guess when Johnny Carson moved, they put some palm trees on the set or something, but it doesn't really matter.
No, not at all. I mean, it might matter to the people who live there. It definitely matters to people who work on the show.
Sure. Yeah, the crew and everything.
Yeah.
Crew doesn't want to relocate to Los Angeles.
But
with all those earthquakes.
I'd love to live in Los Angeles. Are you kidding me?
They just had an earthquake this year, a huge earthquake.
We have earthquakes too.
Yeah, we've got a lot of earthquakes in Michigan. It's a huge problem.
Well, we've had them, just like we've had tornadoes.
Yeah, okay, well, tornadoes is a little more of an actual concern. The last time we had an earthquake, my mom said the way that she felt it was she was sitting in a rocking chair and it started rocking a little bit on its own. You know, it's not quite the same type of thing when the Golden Gate Bridge gets torn asunder.
You know, the earthquake, I know it wasn't that one, and I honestly don't even remember where it was, but it was close enough to us, but it wasn't actually in Michigan, where I was laying on my bed reading, and I thought my cat jumped up on the bed, and she didn't. And I was like, that's weird, and just went back to my book, and then 2 minutes later, my friend Heather calls, and she's like, did you feel that? Oh my God, there was an earthquake. And I was like, no, I really didn't.
Yeah, we actually do have a large fault that runs. If you ever look at a map of Michigan and it looks sort of detached from Ohio, kind of. I mean, not entirely, but there's that line there on the border where our border line is basically where a giant fault runs underneath it, because we're surrounded by so much water. That's part of the reason I'm sure it exists. But that it's stable. It's a really stable fault. So it's a huge fault. It's one of the biggest faults in our country, actually. But it's also a really stable one. And the one in California, the San Andreas fault, is not very stable. It moves a lot. Ours doesn't.
I mean, I'm just saying it's not like we never have them, and it's not like we couldn't have a big one.
I suppose we could. Sure. Anything could happen.
So you can't live your life worrying about what's going to happen. You go live in the sunshine and the palm trees, people.
Yeah. Yes, literally anything could happen in the world. I mean, I don't know. Hollywood stars get scandals and fall from grace. That happens all the time.
Of course, it's part of life, yeah.
We could discover that gravity is not really a force of binding, but
Yeah, I have to disagree with you on that. I don't think that we could discover that gravity was not really the force holding us to the ground.
Why? Why don't you think that could happen?
Because it's proven. It's scientific.
Yeah, but they're always discovering new stuff. I mean, hell, Donald Trump could become president one day.
That's never gonna happen. Oh my God, can you imagine?
Yeah, that dude. You remember him in Home Alone? They filmed it in Trump Tower.
Yeah.
And I guess he has some sort of clause where he's like, well, you can film in my buildings, but I have to be in the movie. Because he's had cameos in some movies. And he's, like, Kevin's walking through the thing and says, where's this? Where's Central Park or whatever? And he just kind of points him in the direction and then sort of looks back at him. Yeah, it's weird.
That's dumb.
The whole thing's stupid. But you know how he's the Mr. I've got all the money, like, you know, like...
And he loves to put his name on everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put his name on the White House.
Right?
How about that? Yeah, that'll happen one day. Anyway, so the news today is a little more serious and weird. In the LA Times, they had a thing, a story.
Article.
That's what they call them, articles. So they had a theso.
Oh, Jesus. Not again.
In the LA Times about the headline. What was the headline? Consensual sex with girl 13 ruled rape.
Yeah. Yes, that was it.
As if it's a revelation that sex with a 13-year-old girl is rape.
So you read that and you think, duh. But here's the thing, is they're married now.
Yeah, with a child.
Because they had sex when she was 13 and he was...
22.
Okay, she got pregnant and he married her, and now they're married and raising a child.
The byline was from Kentucky, or not the byline, but the dateline or whatever is from Kentucky.
Yeah.
So
it is a very Kentucky thing.
Shout out to our friends from Kentucky. Good job. Anyway, but I guess it happened in 92. So that I believe that's what they said, 92.
Yeah, so I'm assuming she's 15
so
now.
She's 15 and he's 24, and they're married.
With a 2-year-old.
With a child.
Yeah, that's creepy. I mean, like, she could be the sister more than the mom.
You said, I guess maybe it shouldn't be rape if they're married now.
I mean, if they're just pressing charges now, I mean, I don't think that her husband should get charged when...
I don't think they're just pressing charges now. I believe what the story was saying was he was convicted of statutory rape. I don't know if he's in jail because we didn't read the whole story. But I don't know if he's in jail or whatever. But I believe he was convicted of statutory rape, and he was appealing it.
Okay.
And the judge said no.
Just because you married her doesn't mean it's not a crime.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, but think about it. Like, okay, so they're married. I'm assuming, you know, he's providing for them financially because she's a child herself.
Maybe her parents are.
Oh, God. So, yeah, I mean, it would really hurt her and their child to send the dad to jail.
Almost as much as it hurt to have sex with someone way older than her, get pregnant, have a child, and lose her entire childhood. Almost as bad as that. The guy needs to be punished. You can't just issue get out of jail free cards like it's a Monopoly game to guys that prey on young women just because they're gonna marry them.
So you don't think that a 13-year-old girl can have consensual sex?
No.
At what age do you think it should be consensual?
How old are you?
Haha, very funny. Did you forget when my birthday is, too?
No, I know when your birthday's coming up.
Yes, sir.
I've got to make some plans for your birthday.
You better.
You're turning the age of consent, right?
Next article.
Okay. What else did we read about? Oh, Bill Clinton being sued by somebody for making sexist and lewd what's the word I'm looking for? Comments.
Comments, yeah. Well, he was a governor.
Well, he was governor of Arkansas.
Now, why now instead of then? That's my only thing. I mean...
Well, when he was running, that whole Paula Jones thing happened. Paula Jones said that he was inappropriate with her and stuff like that. And then I think maybe because of the Anita Hill thing that just happened, that, not just happened, but happened a couple of years ago. I think that's part of it too. I think maybe women are they're seeing that other women are saying this stuff happened to me, and they're seeing that kind of bravery, and they're saying, me too, that stuff happened to me too. And they want to get their stories out there as well.
Okay, but it's 2 years into the presidency.
Well, it's a year and a half, I guess.
But he's been
January
the president for a
93.
while.
Yeah.
So it just seems, I don't know, to me it just seems like an odd time. I just feel like, if you're going to pull something like that out, it should have been when he was running for office or something, not now.
Well, I will say this. I like some of the stuff that he's doing as president. There are a couple things that I'm not as cool about, but I like most of the stuff that he's doing as president, but I don't like any of the stuff that I've heard that he's done in private. He seems like a dog.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad for his wife.
Oh yeah, Hillary.
Yeah.
She's doing a lot of stuff in the government too. I mean,
but
the whole healthcare thing that she's trying to do.
Yeah, I feel bad because it's got to be embarrassing to have it all out there that her husband's like coming on to women and being inappropriate with them all the time.
Yeah, and I think she has the nation's sympathy and probably always will.
Yeah.
I think that most people just kind of feel bad for her because of everything he's put her through, and she's definitely clearly firmly in that victim role.
He seems like a charming person, which makes it more upsetting, I think. It's like, you have your heroes and then you find out they're not. And
I know somebody
falls in that category.
I know somebody that works at the airport in Detroit. Mm-hmm. And he came here for a campaign thing. I want to say it must have been 91 or 92 when he was running for president. Mm-hmm. And then he was here just a little while ago. So there's a couple years in between these stories. And she said she works at the airport, and she said to him when he arrived the second time, you probably don't remember me, and he said, no, I remember you. And he said her name. He referenced the stuff that they were talking about when they met the first time, and is just like a completely charming guy. So yeah, obviously he's a very charming guy with an incredible memory. To just how many people does he meet every day, and he totally remembers this person.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah, so impressive in certain ways, but like most people, flawed in many other ways.
Yeah, well, everybody's human.
Speaking of flawed people, we watched 90210 again this week.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So Kara, why don't you regale us with tales of 90210?
So we finally found out who got cast in the lead of the play.
Yeah, it's a throwaway line in the first 2 minutes of the episode.
Was it?
Sort of. Brenda just comes in and says, "Hey, I got the role."
Right.
And everyone's like, "Oh, cool." And then she goes up to the bottle blondes. I can't remember their names.
Donna and Kelly.
And says, "Hey, I got the role." And they were like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah, it didn't seem like a big enough reaction, especially because Kelly, she dropped out, but...
that was completely thrown away, basically.
Yeah.
Like, she has no emotional investment in this play at all anymore.
But, so Brenda got cast, and the other girl, Laura,
yeah.
she gets cast as her understudy.
Mm-hmm.
She's not happy about that. She's not happy about that at all.
No. And everyone is wondering how she got cast when she was so bad in her audition.
Yeah, and the weird part to me is these are all adult people at this point, right? I mean, they're
I suppose.
Late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, they don't act like it, but okay.
Right. Now, I kind of get Donna because she's a virgin, so, she's supposed to be a little more naive. But none of them seem to think, hey, maybe she slept with him until Steve Sanders.
Yeah. Well, she says, because they ask her, how did she get the part? Or I think Donna says something like, and you were afraid that you blew it, or whatever. And she said, oh, I did. His penis. No, she said, oh, I did, but I went to his house late at night, that night, and asked for a second chance, and he gave it to me. Now, here's my question. If she did sleep with him, why would she say that?
Yeah.
Why would she say, oh, I went to his house late at night?
Right.
Why would she even intimate that if she actually did sleep with him? She would have just covered it all up.
That's true.
She would have come up with some sort of story.
That's true.
Anyway, but yes, so she says that. That's why Steve thinks maybe she slept with him.
Yeah, I mean
Laura puts the idea in his head too.
Yeah, okay, maybe it was Laura, not him, but still, I mean, the rumor mill starts going, obviously, but
courtesy of Steve
and Laura.
Throw homosexuals out of the closet, Steve Sanders.
Yeah, he's kind of a jackass. He really, really is.
He is. I've only seen maybe 3 episodes of this show now. Watching it with you, I've never seen it before. And he is my least favorite character.
Yeah. I mean, he's not like what redeeming qualities does he even have?
I don't know. He's not attractive, so he can't get away with it. And, yeah, he has a crap personality.
And in this whole thing, the only person who doesn't buy into the rumor is Dylan.
Yep.
And like I said to you at the time, why are Brendan and Dylan not together? Brenda and Dylan.
They have a much better relationship than he and Donna do.
Kelly.
Than he and Kelly do.
Jeez, you got to get it together, man.
Well, in fairness, he does have a better relationship with her than he does with Donna. So I don't think they share any scenes.
Yeah.
I don't think they share any scenes together. But no, he has a better relationship than he does with Kelly. They're always fighting and just little things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they're never on the same page about anything.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm sorry, Kelly is a little prettier than Brenda, but not that much prettier.
No.
I mean, I don't think it could be that.
No, I don't think so.
Man, I wish I hadn't stopped watching. I have so many questions and very little answers. I'll have to talk to my friend who's been watching the whole time and find out what happened.
What happened between... That's the burning question for Massive Late Fee. What happened between Dylan and Brenda?
And Kelly.
I got the name right.
Dylan and Brenda and Kelly. Like, I wonder if he cheated on her or like...
It was probably the drinking. That's my guess.
Yeah, they did hint about the drinking. That's true.
She couldn't handle it anymore.
Okay, so Brenda is the lead. Everybody's talking smack about her. She's mad at everybody because they're talking about her.
And they don't believe that... They believe that she would have done this.
Yeah.
What I think is funny, too, is... They cast her as the villain in this. Because what they say is, what Laura says and Steve says, is that this dude, Rathburn, or Basil Rathbone, whatever his name is.
Oh my god, why can't I think of his name now?
That he has a reputation for sleeping with his lead actresses.
Right.
And...
Which Brenda knew, trying out.
Yes. They all talked about it.
Yeah.
And that... If she stooped so low as to have sex with him to get the part, that she's the villain. Not that this dude, speaking of, like, the people in Kentucky.
Right.
Not that this guy, older, in a position of power, sets up a situation where he gets sex from these actresses in order for roles. That's fine. That's cool. That's just what's expected of him. But if she takes advantage of that, quote unquote, or feels she needs to do that to get a role, then she's the villain. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I see your point that, he is the one wrong there. I guess, that people still have this boys will be boys attitude, and so it's okay that he wants to sleep with them all, but it's like, because they all know he's going to try to sleep with them, that it's the woman's fault. And they have to, put up a fight. It's such old world thinking, but it just is.
I've never agreed with that point of view. I think that's the boys will be boys. That's stupid.
I agree. But
in my opinion.
It is what it is. I mean, I have no
problem with guys acting like guys in certain situations. Guys talk about girls. I'm sure girls talk about guys.
Yeah, we do.
And, and guys like to have sex. There's nothing wrong with any of that.
Girls like to have sex too.
Yeah, well, yeah, I agree. But we're talking about guys right now. But I don't, guys like sports, all that stuff. I'm fine with all of that. But there's, I don't like when it extends to sexual assault, or bullying people. I hate bullying so much. I hate bullies and people that want to make other people feel bad. I always end up standing up for other people when it comes to that. I hate that shit.
Here's the thing, though. Okay, we're talking about people who are over the age of 18.
Sure.
And, yeah, okay, he's in a position of power, I guess, because he's the director.
Yeah.
But he's also a very charming, handsome guy who, it seems like might actually be charming the women to want to go to bed with him rather than bullying them, as you're putting it.
Well, I don't think that... I'm not saying that he's bullying them. I'm just saying I don't... There are things that people excuse as typical male behavior that I think is not typical male behavior. It's just dumb, entitled behavior.
Okay.
But...
That I'll give you.
But, there's nothing wrong with an actress being attracted to their director or wanting to sleep with their director. I think it's sort of inappropriate while the play is going on.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Afterwards, sure. But I think it's sort of inappropriate on both parts while the play is going on. But they make it very clear that it's more than just flirting, that he sort of puts that out there for whomever wants to accept.
Right.
And then they'll get the part. And that is the thing that I think is wrong. And that's using your position of power in an abusive way.
Yeah, because Kelly does mention that he kind of flirted with her too, that she got the impression that he was open if she was willing. Right. And at one point, Laura also says she had the opportunity and she should have taken it. Yep. So, yeah, that's true. But then, my mind just went blank.
That's new.
Ha ha ha.
So, Brenda comes in, tells everybody, and then they start rehearsing. Yeah. They go to, not run-throughs, but read-through. They go through a read-through.
And Laura's feeling all sorry for herself because she's the understudy, so she doesn't even get to read. She's just sitting there.
Everyone kind of introduces themselves, or not really, but the director goes through and introduces everyone. And the brick that is the understudy to the brick looks more like Brick than the brick does.
See, I don't know how you even know what these people are supposed to... It's a play. Yeah. So how do you know what they're supposed to look like?
I guess I'm basing it on the movie.
Yeah, I mean, you can't... I mean, just because they look like the people in the movie or not, that doesn't mean that that's what the playwright envisioned when they wrote the play.
No, but they cast a specific look for Brick. It's a former athlete and everything. He's a big guy. Okay. Very built. Just, I don't know, the other guy looks more the part to me. Okay. Than the other one did. But maybe the guy that got the part slept with the director.
So, Laura's feeling, upset, jealous, thinks Brenda, cheated her. Steve even says to her, you were robbed because he was there and he thinks she did a better audition.
Well, she did during that audition.
Yeah, but we have no idea what the audition was like when Brenda went back to his house.
Because they faded to black.
And, honestly, they keep you guessing for like half the episode whether or not she really did sleep with him because she never says she didn't.
Correct. Every time that it's brought up, she kind of scoffs at the idea, but she never says, no, I didn't. Right. And sometimes people kind of directly ask her. Yeah. And she still does not answer the question.
And the only time that you really... And it's still not directly said by her, but I guess by him it is, that they didn't sleep together. When she goes to his house again, lets herself in, by the way. Like, how close are they? She just let herself in. Oh, your door wasn't locked and he's in the backyard sunbathing.
Yeah, well, she misses rehearsal because Laura calls her house and says that rehearsal's been moved from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Yeah, so that she'd missed the whole thing.
And he has like a zero tolerance policy. So she kind of explains what happened, and that's why she gets to stay in the play. But yeah, she comes over to his house. She wants to apologize, and he says he's heard the rumors too, and that it's unfortunate that that's what people think. They make it really clear. They don't ever say it, but they make it really clear.
Yeah.
They didn't sleep with each other. And to kind of nail home my point, he says that when he took the position working at this school, I guess he works for the school.
Okay.
He's some famous director of stage productions, but the school hired him out, I guess, to do their production.
So maybe he's kind of like retiring into a teaching role, and I mean, because the professors at universities will put on the plays,
right?
So that's possible.
But anyway, he said when he accepted the position, they made him sign an agreement that he wouldn't touch the co-eds. So it's not good for him either,
right?
If they think that he's violating that.
And Brenda's like, well, I hope you don't get in trouble for nothing. Like,
right?
Yeah. So you're right. They did. They definitely said it. So, okay, so they didn't actually sleep together, even though it was so strongly implied. And she had missed rehearsal, so Laura's hoping she's going to get kicked out because of his zero-tolerance policy.
Right.
That does not happen. Now Brenda's talked to him, and he decides to call Laura out in front of God and everybody.
Yep.
On the stage, and kicks her out of the play. Yep.
And, because he knows who it was.
Yeah.
That called her and messed her up.
Which, I guess you can figure it out, but I mean, it's not like they have actual proof. It's just a strong suspicion. It could have been somebody else.
Well, it was a female that called to say that the times were changed, and there is literally 2 other women in the play, and one's Brenda's understudy, and the other is Big Mama.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not hard to figure out which one of them it is.
Yeah, Laura wasn't very bright about that.
No.
So, so she gets kicked out, and Steve goes chasing after her.
It's funny, though. You're skipping, like, a lot of this episode, though.
Okay, you know what? Next time, I'm going to sit there and take notes, like, beat by beat, so
apparently
you don't have to call me out all the time.
Apparently, you need to.
Okay.
But when they first talk about it, she says, oh, I could kill her, or whatever.
Right.
And she looks off like a psychopath. Like she gets that 1,000-yard stare where she's just looking over the top of her eyes. And then when Brenda comes back and convinces that stage manager to smooth things over before she actually talks to Eddie Rascal, whatever his name is. She talks to Steve after they get into kind of a verbal fight with Brenda, and she says maybe she could get hurt, she could break a toe or a finger, and Steve's like, yeah, I could break her toe and I could break her jaw too. I'm so mad at her. And she said, of course, you'd have to make it look like an accident. And she's just staring off into space.
Yeah.
As if, Satan is whispering to her.
Crazy eyes.
And, by the way she plays, it's comical.
Yeah.
Almost. It's not great acting. The way she plays being deranged. But anyway, so Steve all of a sudden is like, well, you're not serious, are you? And she's like, yeah. And, well, she didn't say yes, but it's clear she's serious.
Well, and then, we don't see this, but, he talks about later that he actually agrees.
That he's going to do it, yeah.
Because he's afraid that if he doesn't, that she'll do it herself.
Right.
Which, that was being a decent friend.
He's a dick. But he came to his senses, I guess, at the last minute, just like he did in that episode with the gay guy.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, now I'm going to do the right thing. Now that I've been an asshole for 75% of the episode, now I'll turn around and do the right thing and tell everyone that he references Tanya Harding, which I think is funny.
Yeah.
Clearly, I'm sure they were inspired by that incident.
Yeah.
It's fairly recent.
They might have even just added that into a scene that was already written.
Maybe. I don't know how in advance they write these.
Right.
I'm not sure. But, yeah, so now they got to figure out what they're going to do. There's 2 psychopath women in this episode.
Yes, there are. We haven't even talked about Claire yet.
Claire doesn't get much play in this episode, but there's definitely a storyline there.
So, Brendan is going to Berkeley for what? Again, I can't even remember.
His paper that he wrote about the future of education or something like that is going to be part of the keynote address. And he's going to Berkeley for something related to that.
Now, this is, him with the Chancellor again. And Claire later shows up at his house with 2 tickets to Berkeley because she wants to go with him.
2 tickets to paradise.
She is so stupid. Like, I don't understand why she won't just let it go. He's told her so clearly.
She's obsessed.
So
she's like stalking him.
Yeah. And her dad being his boss does not help. I really feel bad for Brandon.
I guess.
He's in a bad situation.
Yeah, well, we'll see how much longer he's in that situation.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he tries to explain to the dad that... the dad says that he likes the fact that they're dating, because apparently they're dating.
Right.
And that he's better than most of the lugs she brings home. They always seem to get themselves into hot water.
And he literally says to him, well, that might not entirely be their fault, sir. And he, doesn't respond. He just has blinders on.
It's willful ignorance.
So, she wants to go to Berkeley with him, and as his last-ditch effort, he goes and talks to Dad. Oh, and Dad had said, too, don't get in too much trouble in Berkeley now, because you're the one who kept my daughter out late on prom night.
Berserkly in Berkeley.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, he's trying to bring in the big guns. He thinks, hey, if I tell her dad how she behaved, and he tells him that she, instigated a fight in the hotel room and all that stuff, that, he'll put a stop to things. Well, she just looks amused as fuck when he tells her.
Yeah.
Because she knows that Daddy is going to take her side.
Yep. So, that's not going to work out for good old Dylan, Brandon.
Yeah, she said, what did she say? You just dug your own grave, I think.
Yeah, so he's probably getting fired.
Yeah. And, the dad, took a phone call in the middle of their conversation. He's just like, I'm sorry she's being a nuisance. I'll take care of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's over, Brandon.
Take care of you.
He does not like to hear bad things about his little girl.
Yeah, and so then Laura decides that she's going to kill herself.
Yeah, Steve goes to talk to her and finds a suicide note on the bed, addressed to whom it may concern. Who does that? Come on now. So he's tearing across campus instead of calling the police to go get to the theater before she kills herself because she's doing her final performance. And he runs into Brenda. How convenient. And so she goes running with him, and they go in and find Laura up in the rafters wearing the white dress that he had given her for the audition.
Oh, is that what she was wearing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And wrapping a noose around her neck.
A very poorly tied noose. She is not a naval officer, clearly.
Clearly.
She's not using a bowline hitch, or a bowline with a bite, or a midshipman's hitch.
I have no idea what any of that means.
Or a square hitch.
No hitches for Laura. So Steve says he's going to get security while Brenda's talking to her, but he actually climbs up and, of course, grabs her just in the nick of time as she's about to jump to her death.
Yeah, Brenda talks to her. Says all the things that everyone in the audience is thinking. That there are other plays. Mm-hmm. That she's an idiot.
She even offers, she's like, I can talk to them and we can, both have performances. We can split them and, yeah. Yeah, Laura's going to go away now.
You think Brenda would have done that if she had just said, oh, okay, do that?
No, I think she would have been willing. No, I think she would have been willing to split the performances with her now that she knows how much it means to her. But I don't think that she'd be available to do that because she's going to be spending some time with the men in the white coats.
Yeah, I agree.
She got taken away in an ambulance, so.
With a blanket wrapped around her because they always do that in TV and movies.
Right.
Everyone's cold when they need to go to an ambulance.
Well, I think, it's because people tend to get cold when they're in shock. And I mean, she did try to kill herself, so she might be in shock.
I guess.
I don't know.
I was in shock by how bad her performance was.
It was pretty bad.
The thing that the crew on this show must struggle with the most, though, is using those big wide-angled lenses so that they can get both of Tori Spelling's eyes in the same shot.
Oh my god, that's so mean.
I noticed that a lot today. That right eye really goes way askew.
Wow.
It does.
No, it does not.
Look at where her nose is, and then see how her left eye is, normal distance from that nose, and then look where the right eye is. It's like she's half gecko or something.
What the frick? You were so mean. She is not that weird looking. She's a little weird looking. I'll give you a little weird looking. She kind of looks like a dude.
Yeah, she's got a little of that going on.
But I don't think that her face is, like, deformed.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe she used to be a guy, and she was a boxer. And she got her face hit so much that her eye just moved.
Ugh.
That happens.
That's gross. So, that's how the episode ends.
Correct.
So, we'll have to see what new drama they find. Oh, wait, we forgot about one kind of important thing.
Okay.
Dylan's little sister's mom is getting married to that guy.
Yeah, the environmental scientist.
Who quit his job because he discovered something that would, clean the oceans and they won't let him do it.
Right. Yeah. He discovered something that would fix pollution everywhere. And the corporation that he works for is so greedy that they won't patent it and sell it to every country in the world for literally billions of dollars.
Right?
Like if a corporation found something where it was, you can pollute as much as you want and we can just clean it up with this magic dust, they would jump on that in a second. He says, they don't really pay attention to something unless one of the quote-unquote stars in the company comes up with it. Yeah, that's how companies work. No company has ever taken the idea of an underling before and used it for enormous profits. It's never happened.
I doubt they'd ever really be able to make something like that, though. I mean, to just clean the water just by pouring it in there, like... Yeah. I mean, he said they could drink it. I wouldn't want to drink it. Like, what chemicals did you just put in there? Yeah,
I agree. I don't think it'll ever happen either, but... Yeah, it's like magic dust. But that's the environmental lesson that we get for the week
right.
On 90210. They're trying to do their part in the least effective and least effort way possible. A C story on a soap opera.
It's not a soap opera.
Okay. It's just structured and acted exactly like a soap opera.
Right.
It just doesn't appear during the day.
Correct.
Right. Like Dallas wasn't a soap opera.
It wasn't.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on. Tell them about the movie we saw this week, babe.
Okay, so we went to see... It's not super popular for some reason.
It's so good, though. It's so funny.
We went to see Jeremy Piven and others, I don't know, other people, in a movie called PCU, which stands for Portchester University, and is also a pun.
Politically correct university.
Yeah, because, oh man, the woman that plays the president of the school, and I cannot think of her name, Jessica Walter, that's her name.
The old creepy lady that the young guy's trying to sleep with, that just weirds me out. But yeah,
she was a somewhat popular actress when she was very young. She's been working in Hollywood for a long time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
She's never been a big star, but she's had roles sort of like she plays in this movie in lots of movies over the years. She used to be quite attractive, actually. Well, like way back when. I mean, no offense if Jessica Walter happens to get this.
Yeah.
You're still a striking woman, Miss Walter. But obviously, that's what happens. We look our best when we're younger, and then as we get older, we're wiser.
Well, that's what happens to women.
And I think she is a better actress and a funnier actress. She did a lot of sort of musical comedy, but not much comedy for the role she was in, and some more serious movies. This is the first I've sort of seen her in a comedic role where she's being very dry, very sarcastic in her performance. She's not overly flamboyant in her comedic performance, but her performance is really funny as she plays off of other funny people like David Spade. And I think she's really rounded out into she knows how to deliver lines. Almost, I know you didn't like The Naked Gun, but almost Leslie Nielsen-like in her ability to deliver funny lines in a serious way.
Okay.
I think she's really found a niche with that, and I hope that she does something with it in the future.
Yeah.
Or somebody gives her an opportunity to do something with it in the future because she's really good at it.
Okay.
But anyway, so the premise of this movie is pretty simple. There's a dude, and he's a senior in high school, or as they call him, a pre-frosh. So which I've never heard of in my life. Either. But he's visiting the university from Delaware, and they're in Connecticut. So he rode 6 hours on a bus to get there to see if he wants to go to PCU in the fall. And he gets assigned this guy. I don't know what his name is. Is his name Droz? What did they call him?
I don't know.
It was James Alexander was his real name, I believe, and I think they called him Droz.
I don't think they called him by his real name.
No, they didn't. That's what I'm saying. I think that's what they called him was Droz.
Right.
So I don't know where that comes from. We never get an explanation on that. But anyway, that's what they call him. But that's Jeremy Piven. And he's a senior. He's been there for 7 years, we find out later. which I think is sort of a play on like a joke at the fact that Jeremy Piven does not look like a college student in any way whatsoever. But, so he's like the leader of this fraternity. We get a really quick... there's a joke. Here's one thing that I like about the movie. I know we're all over the place, but here's one thing I like about the movie. They do things as jokes, but the jokes are set up other things that get paid off later. That's one thing that anyone out there that wants to make movies, you guys need to listen up, because they don't do this enough in Hollywood. Set up and pay off, both for jokes and for plot information. He goes to this fraternity where this guy is. Fraternities have been outlawed on the campus. The entire campus is filled with politically correct factions that want to do different things. We'll get to them in a minute. But he goes to this house where they live, former fraternity. They call it the Pit. And we see, it's played as a joke, but it also sets up valuable information.
Right.
We see through the 40s and the 50s, he's looking at all the pictures of the alumni that were in this fraternity over the years. We see the 40s and the 50s, everyone's in that conservative suit with the tie and the white shirt and everything. And then we get to 1967 or 1969, and it's a group photo. Instead of it looking like your high school graduation photo where it's a little portrait of everybody side by side, it's a group photo of very hippie looking people, on a couch or whatever. And then you go to the 1970s, there's fewer people than there were before, and they're even more like very 70s long hair kind of stuff. You go to the 80s, there's even fewer people, they're clearly punks. Then you get into now 1994 or 1993, I think was the year because it was the previous year.
And it's a Polaroid.
It's a Polaroid picture that falls off the wall of like 4 people.
Right.
So it's clear something has happened. And it gets paid off later of why that is. And I think that's because later we meet the antagonist, David Spade, and they have a fraternity for some reason called Balls and Shaft is the name of their fraternity. Very stupid. But they're very conservative, Republicanite type people. And they mention that they used to have that house. That was where their fraternity was located until fraternities were outlawed. And then they had to go underground. And this group took over the house that they used to live in. That's why everything changes from the 50s into around 1967, when fraternities were outlawed on the campus. And that's why it became that, and that's why there's fewer and fewer people in it as we go along. So it's a joke, but it sets up plot information for later in the movie, and that's a smart way to write a script. And I think that there's a few things like that happen in this movie, and I think that's part of the reason why I think this movie works. Plus, Jeremy Piven seems like he might be an asshole in real life, but he's really good playing this kind of guy.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we go from there. He goes and they find out his name is Tom. Tom, yeah.
Okay.
He meets that one girl. I can't remember her name, but she's a freshman. Katie? Is her name Katie or Kelly?
I don't remember names. I'm sorry.
Anyway,
I have no help here.
So, she's the big love interest in the movie.
Yeah, he checks out her ass.
Yeah.
That's what I remember about her.
So, okay. So she tells him where he can find Jeremy Piven. Finds him, talks to him, and he tries to pawn him off on other people, but they're not biting.
Yeah.
So then he takes him on a tour, kind of this is what the campus is, and this is where we meet all the different groups.
Yeah.
So there are people that are protesting everything. It's kind of like, it's sort of a take on or satire of what the political climate's like now, because we're so divided.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever be as divided as we are right now, but there are so many factions of save the whales, save the planet kind of people. Mm-hmm. And then there are the more conservative people like David Spade is portraying, where they have certain ideas, people that are poor, horrible, all this stuff. It's a caricature, but they're all caricatures.
Right.
They have the minority groups that, like the black. There's a bunch of black students that are walking around on campus for some reason all together, and they never explain what they are. They totally gloss over this thing completely. So once again, black people are given the short end of the stick. But what I assume is they're like the Black Caucus or something like a black student union type thing.
Okay.
That's what I'm assuming they are. They never really voice any concerns. They never try to get anything changed.
Well, I mean,
not in the movie anyway.
The concern, I guess you could say, they voice is just like that they hate white people. It seems like, I mean, when he runs into the group and they're like, this right here is an example of a rich white guy.
Oh yeah, that's true. They do kind of go over the top. I guess it's supposed to be like more like a Black Panther-ish, but not violent, not as militant.
Yeah, I guess.
As the Black Panthers were at times. That's a controversial thing too.
Right.
That we're not going to get into. But anyway, so yeah, so there's all these different factions, and there's people who they'll have a cause of the week, and then the next week they move on to a different cause, because how short people's attention spans are. They'll pay attention to something for a week, then they move on to something else, which it's accurate. All the criticisms of all the different groups are all accurate in this movie. And this week it's meat. They're protesting that meat is murder, people should be vegetarians and stuff. So they start throwing meat at them. And then we learn that...
I'm sorry, you just skimmed over like one of the funniest scenes of the movie.
Okay, well, go ahead.
No, I mean, because they had something like, 100 pounds of meat, and they had to break in through the picket line or whatever to get into the meat, and then they're dumping it, just little droplets at first.
Right.
Like it's freaking raining. It was hilarious. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But anyway, so yeah, they do that and they get complaints. We find out that the main woman is Moonbeam. Oh, and then there's they don't call them feminists. They call them womanists.
Yeah. And they're women with a Y. Yeah.
So I don't... This is another one where, like I said, all these are taken over the top, but I think, that it's good satire.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I think that women deserve, equal pay for equal work and that kind of stuff, but feminists kind of ruin some shit for us. I mean, I like it when guys hold the door for me.
I think, see, the thing is, I think there's room for both. I think there's room for both respecting women, and here's the thing. Ideally, that's what would happen. Like, holding the door for a woman is showing respect to a woman. You know, it's not being condescending.
Right.
It's showing respect, holding the car door open, you know, paying for a meal, doing stuff like that. They're all things that I think are respectful. Say, not swearing in front of women, saying, you know, yes ma'am and stuff like that. I think those are all respectful things that people should do. But the problem is when it gets into the patronizing category, which happened a lot in the 40s and the 50s.
Right.
And doesn't seem like it happens as much anymore, at least from my perspective, but it's, you know, I'm not a woman, so it's hard to say. But that's where I think the cutoff should be, when it gets into the patronizing, and when it gets into, like you said, not getting paid the equal amount of money for equal work and things like that. That's when you run into problems.
So, the meat thing. So then they're chasing them,
and they get complaints.
Okay.
They complain to them, and that's where we find out that if they have 15 more complaints, they get kicked out of campus. Also, at the same time, the damage bill for their last party or whatever came in to the house, and it's like $7,000. They have to pay that within the next 3 days, or they'll get kicked out of their house. And obviously, they don't want to get kicked out of their house, and they don't want to get kicked out of school. So it's set up a lot like Animal House. Yeah. That's what this movie reminded me of. Because we have the preppies, we have the not preppies, and we have a problem that needs to be solved, and we have a president or dean of the college as an antagonist. You know, one of the main antagonists of the movie. So it reminded me a lot of Animal House in that way, with the PC sort of spin on it.
Yeah.
So then after that, they decide what they're going to do is they're going to throw a party. Everyone kind of gets their jobs, which they all fail at, and then they have to try again. Basically, they redistribute what they're going to do as far as the party goes, and then they try to put it on. Tom, meanwhile, is pissing everyone off at the school.
Yes.
All the people that were protesting the meat know that he was part of the group that threw the meat at him, so they are running after him. He goes in, when he's running from them, he goes into where everyone's doing their term papers, and he trips over the power cord with honors style, and everyone's computer crashes, so they all lose their thesos, because for whatever reason, people don't know to save their theremins to a disc.
Their theremins. You were such a weirdo.
Anyway, so they're all running after him. Then he runs through the hippie games, as they call them, which is the wominists and the hippie group playing ultimate frisbee against each other. And someone throws the frisbee, he runs in front of it, grabs it, and instead of just dropping it, like he probably should have, just holds onto it as he's running away. And they are like, oh, he snagged the bee. And they don't really run after him at first because they're all high. But it's implied that they're not happy with the situation, even though they're smiling constantly. So did you recognize who was the main hippie guy too?
No.
So you know Gary Busey, right?
I recognize the name
the
Gary
actor.
Busey.
He's a little nuts, a little out there. His son, whose name is Jake Busey, is that guy.
Okay.
And he looks a lot like his dad, with the creepy teeth. But anyway, so he runs away from him, and then, you know, we get to the party. Take it from here.
I don't know. They have a party, and
they do have a party.
They make the money.
Yep. They get everyone to show up. They get everyone. Their idea is to get everyone together, to bring everyone together in the spirit, in what unites them. Their youth, their desire to rebel against authority.
Everyone gets laid. That's the main tagline of the party. So I think they're thinking that's going to bring them together.
Yeah, because that's what the band was supposed to be called.
And they have to go around and, like, gather up liquor and beer because the guy they sent to go buy beer gets high and passes out. I want to know what was in the
Rudy.
weed that he smoked, because that is not normal.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And so a tour bus stops, and he says, oh, can I get a ride back to my place, my house? And it's George Clinton and the Parliament Funkadelic. So they say, okay. They come back, and suddenly now George Clinton is playing at the party. They convince them that they missed their show, so they convince them to stay and play at this party. And so now it's a big rockin' party now. But they get all these complaints. And the dean is having a meeting. There's the 200th anniversary is tomorrow. She's having a meeting with all the alumni and stuff like that. And two of the alumni, Tom hears them talking about how they hate her. And they hate all this PC crap that she does. And that they would get rid of her if they could. And that, you know, she'll have enough rope to hang herself at some point. So they get all these complaints, so they're getting kicked out even though they have the money for the damages. The next day is the centennial. She's giving this speech. She's changed their mascot from the offensive Indian to the whooping crane.
Now,
an endangered species.
Yeah, how is that supposed to be less offensive?
I don't know.
Taking an endangered species and making it a mascot? That's terrible.
Yeah. But she has a real live whooping crane.
Yeah.
I don't think they had a real live Indian for their mascot.
God, I hope not.
So, and by the way, that seems... I know the Washington Redskins. That's a horrible name. They really need to change that name.
Yes, they do.
But the Cleveland Indians, you know, are a team. And they have that Chief Wahoo or whatever as their mascot. I don't get Connecticut. Connecticut doesn't seem like... It seems like you would call it... It wouldn't just be the Indians. It'd be the tribe name. Like in Michigan, the Central Michigan's University's mascot is the Chippewa. They're the Chippewa. That's a Indian tribe that lived in Michigan at some point before the horrific genocide that we inflicted upon them.
Right.
But, you know, Connecticut, it's just like, it's Indian, it's too general. I would think it would be, I don't know, Iroquois? I think that's Connecticut is Iroquois, I think.
I don't know.
Anyway, so it just seemed short-sighted. It's my only complaint about the movie.
Okay.
But, so they stage this thing where the security is distracted and she's distracted because they let the whooping crane out of its cage. And then Jeremy Piven comes up and says, oh, we had this great party. I thought we all came together and everything. And then we got so many complaints that we got kicked out of school. We're not going to protest. And then he leads them in a chant of we're not going to protest.
What?
Yeah. You don't remember that part of the movie?
No, I do.
Okay. So
I'm just saying.
You're just being the audience right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, he leads them in a chant of we're not going to protest, which turns into a giant protest at this centennial, embarrassing the dean whose whooping crane got away. And what's his name, David Spade, comes up there and he says, oh, you know, you think you've won, blah, blah, blah. Basically goes on an evil monologue. And Jeremy Piven's got the microphone. And, he's kind of holding it. Like, he can't see it, but he's holding it up so everyone can hear him. And then he's denigrating every group. The gay group, the minority group, the women, like all these things.
Wow.
Yeah, he basically just denigrates them all. So then they all hate him, so they all start chasing after him. And then the dean gets kicked out. She gets fired. So they're not kicked out of their house anymore.
Yay!
And the movie's over, basically. And Tom's going to come in the fall and go to school there, and he made out with that girl.
Whose ass he checked out.
Right.
But yeah, it was a really good, funny, cute movie. I liked it.
I can't go into all the specifics or we'd be here forever, but there's a lot of good lines. There's a lot of funny... It's a solidly made comedy film.
Yeah.
You should definitely check it out. I think Carol liked it better than she liked Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
For sure.
So we will end this episode as we end all episodes with our Blockbuster pick of the week. This week at Blockbuster, there are 2 movies. Well, they're in the next few days. They'll be coming to Blockbuster. So get on it early. Why don't you do yours first?
The Three Musketeers. Oh my gosh, I loved this movie. Girls, are you with me? I mean, what's hotter than the Three Musketeers? I do it just for that look. Just for that look. But you got Kiefer Sutherland.
Sure. Name them all.
I'm gonna try. And
yeah. That's right, him.
Well, no, but there's another one. Chris O'Donnell.
Okay. Is he in that? I don't know.
Yeah, he's like the 4th Musketeer.
Sure. D'Artagnan?
Yeah. And anyway, I mean, we all know the story of...
No. That's not all of them. There are 4 Musketeers. Even though it says 3. But there are 4 of them. You're missing 2. You said Kiefer Sutherland.
Uh-huh.
You said Donald O'Connor. Chris O'Donnell.
Mm-hmm. Okay, is it Charlie Sheen?
Yep, that's one.
And...
then the hottest one of them all.
I don't know.
Oliver Platt, baby.
Oh, gosh. That's why.
So hot.
Okay, so...
right, ladies? Oliver Platt.
Oliver Platt is not hot, but the rest of them are. And,
who's the villain?
I don't remember. Stop making fun of me.
All you remember is
Kiefer Sutherland. It was not worth the look. But no, I mean, ladies and men, check out the movie. You know, we got the sword fights and all that shit, but sure. You know, it's a good one.
Tim Curry is the villain, by the way.
Isn't he the villain in Robin Hood too?
Plays Cardinal Richelieu. Is he the villain in Robin Hood? You know, that movie, when that come out? 91, I think?
Yeah.
91 or 92. So yeah, that era, there were 2 Robin Hood movies. The Mel Brooks one and the Kevin Costner one.
I'm talking about Prince of Thieves.
And one was just a horrible farce parody, and the other one was the Mel Brooks one.
Okay, I'm talking about Prince of Thieves. Hey! No, Prince of Thieves.
You get it? He didn't even have an English accent.
I don't care. It was an amazing movie.
Oh God, it was so stupid.
It's got Christian Slater and my mind's going blank again. Kevin Costner. My mind has a lot of blanks.
Kevin Costner plays Robin Hood.
Yeah.
The star of the film.
Yeah.
No, Alan Rickman is the sheriff of Nottingham in that film.
With a spoon. Why a spoon? Because it'll hurt more.
Alan Rickman is a fucking national treasure, even though it's not our nation. But he is great. Love him.
He is.
Ever since Die Hard. Anyway, so that's yours. So go,
yes.
all the ladies go and check out Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
No, and the Three Musketeers.
Three Musketeers. All the ladies go out, check the Three Musketeers for that hot Oliver Platt action.
Oh, would you stop?
My pick is Addams Family Values. Now, y'all remember Addams Family. But Addams Family Values takes it up a notch and adds Joan Cusack. I don't know. Guys, check it out for Christina Ricci.
Oh, okay. You're trying to make me jealous. I got it. It's cute.
Yeah. Just like Christina Ricci.
She is cute. I agree. She looks like me.
She does look like you, actually. But anyway, like a lot like you. But it's a good movie. I prefer the second one to the first one. I think the second one is a better and funnier film. You got Raul Julia, Angelica Houston. Can't stop.
I have a confession to make.
You've never seen it?
Never seen either one of them.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh, the first one is good. The first one's sort of like an introductory thing. Even though we've all seen the TV show, reruns of the TV show.
Yeah.
But it's kind of an introduction as to what this family is, how it's going to operate, blah, 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 blah. The Family Values is about Uncle Fester has a woman that she's dating. Like she expresses interest in him, but she has nefarious plans.
Okay.
She's using him basically, and he doesn't know that. And the family tries to ward him up on it and everything. So, yeah, I'm not going to get into more than that because I don't want to ruin it for anyone that hasn't seen the film. But if you saw the first one and you haven't seen this one, or even if you didn't see the first one, because you don't really need to enjoy this movie, check it out. I think it's a more solid script and it's funnier than the first one is. That's my opinion.
Okay.
So that is our show for the week. Why don't you do some stuff for us? Why don't you tell some people that, tapes, get the tapes. Why don't you pass some tapes on to people and tell them that you love this show and that you love everything about it and force it into conversations. When people start talking about Bill Clinton, say, "Hey, speaking of Bill Clinton cheating on his wife, I've cheated on my silence by listening to this."
So here's my promise to you people.
All right, there we go.
I'm going to actually take notes and prepare myself next time. And then, you won't have any reason to correct me. And it'll be awesome. Next episode, I'm going to be right on point, people.
It sounds more like a promise to me than it does to the people. This is the time when we tell people what they do for us.
Money. In my locker.
Yeah, I have a rich uncle. That's why she's dating me. Money in the locker. Go to Carol's locker.
And if any of you
see where it is
out there know what the hell happened with Brenda and Dylan and Kelly, fill me in.
Write us.
Yes.
Write us and let us know. And money. And tell people. And, draw 5 stars on a tape and send it to us.
Yeah.
You get all the stars.
You could decorate my locker with stars.
There you go. 5 stars for Carol, all in the locker. Just decorate it up. Give us all those stars.
All right, bye, people.
Goodbye.